an emergency Pentagon call. I need you. This, you hear to me? This is an emergency Pentagon. I don't have a credit card!
Sir, the attitude is not going to speed things up any bit at all. I'm going to ask you to speak into the mouthpiece very clearly.
I'm in the middle of a war. This is freaking ridiculous. Gentlemen, if your special ops group was ever attacked in Qatar, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Today we're talking about the last of the M16 variant of rifles, the M16A4, and its different configurations. I am very excited to have this on the channel, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Oh, you thought this was a gun video?
Gotcha, bitch!
So last video we talked about how lenses can have a pretty big impact on what your video looks like. And we did something kind of cool with the opening of this video. Now, I wanted to do this for a while, but I haven't really had all the parts put together to make it happen. So a lot of you probably know that I do have a RED camera. It's not one of the really high-end ones, it's not even one of the newer ones, but it is a RED camera nonetheless. I brought it out for a couple of the videos, but it's not my main camera, and it's definitely not the camera that I use the most. And this was a perfect time to test something that I've wanted to try for a little while. So this is my RED setup in the way that we shot the opening with. Nothing crazy until you get to the lens. And like we were talking about last video, the lens is really what made the opening look the way it did. Now this is a little bit beefier lens that you probably see a lot of camera guys running around with. That's because this is an old school parafocal studio zoom lens. This one in particular is made by Fujinon, and it's a 6.3 to 82mm, which means it's a pretty long zoom lens. Those specs alone would make this one of the best lenses that you could run with. These things are often called studio lenses because they're used by a lot of studio houses for the news, for doing news stories and television and stuff like that. If you were to go buy a brand new one of these for like a full frame camera, they'd probably run you anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000. Now this lens might have cost that back in the day when it was brand new, but you can probably get one of these things for maybe $100 on eBay right now. And the reason that they're so cheap is because they don't cover modern sensors. This lens is made for a 2/3 sensor camera. Compared to the full frame that a lot of people are shooting on, that is a very tiny sensor. So if you're just buying an adapter and you put this on a modern camera, you're gonna get a majority black screen with a little bit of image on the front. So that's why I thought shooting on the Super 35 sensor of the RED might give me a little bit more leeway. Now I can't shoot at the full 4.5K that this camera shoots at, but this camera does crop into 1080p. Now when you shoot on those reduced video sizes on this camera, it doesn't use the full sensor, it crops in on the sensor and it only uses a portion of it. So even though this is technically a cleaner, more high resolution image, I think this image has more going into it than, say, just this camera with this lens. But I'm guessing most of you didn't come here to listen to me babble about cameras. You want to see the M16. Okay, so the M16 is probably one of the most famous rifles of all time. It's probably neck and neck with the AK-47. Pretty much the basic silhouette that most people think of when they think of a rifle or an assault rifle is probably something similar to this. 20-inch barrel, fixed stock, A2 grip, metal mags, probably even EOTech, and especially that front sight post. This is a pretty popular version of the M16. This is the 4th iteration, developed in released in 1996, same year I was born actually. Yeah, I'm getting old, but I'm not too old either. One of the things that I did want to talk about a little bit is the differences in performance that you're going to get between this rifle and something that a lot of guys are running these days. This is the M16A4, obviously, like we've been talking about, but this, as you guys have seen on the channel before, is my 416. This is a 10.4-inch barrel. This is an SBR, and when you're shooting something like 5.56 out of something so short, what you're going to get is you're going to get a little bit of diminishing returns on the performance of the round once it's leaving the weapon. It has a little bit. Aha! The 20-inch barrel is going to give you a lot better performance out of that round. Because 20 inch is what these rounds were designed to be fired out of, so you're going to get the most powder burn out of this longer barrel. It's going to be more accurate, it's going to be able to reach out further, and it's going to do a little bit more damage than something like an SBR. Even though these are great weapons for CQB, home defense, this thing sits on my side of the bed, I would have absolutely no problem sweeping my house with this thing in the middle of the night. Not like I haven't done that already. So this is the M16A4. This is the last variant of the M16 that was produced. It was adopted in the mid to late 90s, I think first by the US Army and then by the Marine Corps, but the Marines are the ones who really made this thing famous with the war in Afghanistan. You saw a lot of photos and videos of dudes kicking in doors with 20-inch rifles. The thing is absolutely no stranger to the spotlight, not only in firearms, but in gun tube as well. These things have more than their fair share amount of videos dedicated to them. This is sort of in that last couple years where more modern guns were still in like the vibe that I liked. Like, yes, you have the Picatinny on top, you can mount optics to it, you've got laser, you've got light, but you've still got that front sight post, you're still wanting quad rails, you still got the A2 grip. This thing just oozes aesthetics with me. Like, I love the 20-inch barrel, love the quad rail, the Knight's furniture. You can kind of have whatever optic you want. Right now we've got my Night Force on it because I think it looks the coolest. We've just got a couple little accessories that are sort of done to sort of build it out as that peak GWAT experience. So let's talk make and manufacturer. This thing is a little bit of a mutation, but it all comes together to give us the rifle that you see before you. First and foremost, my buddy Abe did send this thing out to me. He's a big supporter and a big friend of the page. You guys saw him in the MP5 video. So the upper is not the FN upper. I did look at those, but ultimately we got the PSA upper. It's got the 20-inch barrel, and we have a Midwest Industries quad rail, some actual Knight's rail covers right here. Up here, we've got my Somo Pec 2A. I think this thing's pretty cool. Comes with a green laser. The light's not switched on right now. And then we do have this old school Surefire light over here on the side with the pressure pad kind of mounted in between the Picatinny. I saw a lot of photos rocking this sort of sling attachment up here. When we were shooting, it kept falling off, so I just have the sling attached to the sling mount that's on the rifle itself. So the lower itself, you guys have seen this lower on my channel and on my Instagram a lot. So a lot of y'all know that I have a band era Colt AR-15A2. It was a gift from my father for graduating college, so kind of has a little bit of sentimental value. But the cool thing about that rifle is that it's a band era, which means that it's got this third hole right here that sets in a sear block, which means you can't swap trigger packs in. But on the inside, we do have a half circle bolt carrier. So I'm just going to go ahead. Because we have this little sear block right here, we do have a half circle bolt carrier group. This is kind of unique. You don't see this a lot. This is specific to these Clinton band era guns. So you don't see them running around a bit, but to be able to run this thing with this little sear block in here, we do have to have this half circle bolt carrier group. Grunts and Marines, I know you guys are going to recognize this setup. We've got an ACOG fitted onto the M16A4. This is a very iconic setup. A lot of dudes have made their living kicking indoors with this thing. The ACOG has definitely cemented itself as a staple pairing with the M16A4. Even if it's not my favorite pairing to go with it, I've got some other stuff that I like a little bit better. You cannot deny the appeal of this thing, both in its aesthetic as well as its effectiveness. This thing has been used by hundreds, if not thousands of dudes kicking indoors, and has served our boys well. And I'm definitely glad that we got a chance to showcase it to you guys. Now, you guys have seen some footage of me shooting this thing, not with the Night Force on it. I put a couple optics on this thing throughout the course of making this video. So the Night Force, this is just a 2.5 to 20. I've seen a couple dudes running some higher powered optics on these, and I had this thing lying around, and I really wanted to just, one, kind of see how it looked. and I think it looks really, really cool. This actually is my favorite way that this rifle has been set up, and it's my favorite way to shoot. The gun itself is already, especially with the 20-inch barrel and quad rail, a little bit of a heavier gun. So adding this on top of that, when you put all this together, it makes a pretty sturdy little gun, and it has absolutely no recoil. But that's the basis of this. It's nothing really too crazy. This is a pretty basic, it's a very popular clone that people have. I've seen very similar, if almost exact clones all over the place. I think a couple other people have done some videos on this stuff. Now, a lot of the times with some of the guns, like usually I try to build something either from a particular game or a particular mission, like with the MP5. This is sort of just a clone for the sake of a clone. The A4 sort of goes beyond just any one game or one piece of media, and it's sort of become almost this symbol of like the 90s to 2000s M16s. I think it's really, really cool. I'm really happy with the way this thing came out. The two-tone look really does it for me. This is the peak M16A4 from, you know, the world. Gentlemen, the M16 family of rifles has served the United States well in its over 50 years of service in the United States military. It is probably one of the most recognizable rifles of all time, and probably what a lot of people think of when they think of the term AR-15 or assault rifle. This rifle has made its mark on history, and I'm very glad that we got a chance to show it off in its latest configuration, as well as its older configurations across the channel. Guys, I've got nothing else for you. Have a great day. Thanks for checking out this video, and God bless.